Judicial Watch has these documents from Loudoun County through the FOIA law in Virginia, the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. We got, I think, 3,500 documents, pages of documents. And they show coordinated effort to advance critical race theory initiatives in Loudoun County. And it shows that they were being dishonest about it. We're continuing to expose key issues that the government wants to keep secret from you. And one of the, I guess, the worst kept secrets in the world is their CRT agenda. You've got it going on, the critical race theory. Now, the left pretends critical race theory is just something that's taught in law schools. Well, you know, that's so dishonest that I'm not going to insult your intelligence by having to argue why it's dishonest. But we all know what it is. It's repackaged Marxism using race as opposed to class to advance the communist agenda. And it specifically is racist, it's anti-American, and it's communist and revolutionary in its scope and its attitude. And it's bad enough when they're trying to impose it on our military, impose it on government officials and government employees, or corporations incorporating it into its practices internally in terms of HR and forcing people to go through this racist propaganda brainwashing. But it's beyond belief that, and outrage, that they're targeting our children. And they're lying about what they're doing. And Judicial Watch has the documents. And one of the counties, and it's this school district by school district fight. I think there are 14,000 school districts out there. And just because you live in, quote, a red state, it doesn't mean it ain't there already. Just because it's outlawed doesn't mean they're trying to rework words to make it seem like, well, we're not doing what's outlawed. So you always need to stand watch for your kids and your tax dollars. Accordingly, Loudoun County here in, I shouldn't say here in Virginia because this is in the District of Columbia, Loudoun County, Virginia has been the center of the storm in the CRT controversies. And largely because it's close to Washington, D.C., which has a lot of reporters, but also because the board out there has been really tenaciously or specifically dishonest in the way they've been handling it. Trying to shut people out, trying to shut parents out, lying, dissembling. They have an extremist transgender agenda out there, not only Loudoun County, but generally in Virginia. So that's been a big focus. And you may recall that the National Association of School Boards sent a letter to, it looks like the White House and the Justice Department, that got Merrick Garland to start sicking the FBI on the parents, or making it clear that the FBI would be watching what's going on with these school boards, trying to scare people off. And one of the incidents they used was a parent who was, I think, arrested at one of these Loudoun County school boards meetings because he got outraged because they were lying about a sexual assault involving his daughter of a boy who allegedly was wearing a skirt, went into the bathroom and assaulted her, raped her. And they lied about that. And they were using his outrage as justification for the FBI to go after every parent, practically speaking, who's opposing this and exercising their God-given rights as Americans to go and voice their concerns about what their kids are being taught by public school teachers and public school officials who work for them to begin with. And the Judicial Watch has these documents from Loudoun County through the FOIA law in Virginia, the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. We got, I think, 3,500 documents, pages of documents. And they show coordinated effort to advance critical race theory initiatives in Loudoun County. And it shows that they were being dishonest about it. Minority School Achievement Advisory Committee. This is some of the stuff we uncovered. Minority Student Achievement Advisory Committee. Their chair writes to the former director of equity in the school system there that she tweeted, "We will silence the opposition without realizing the firestorm my words," she tweeted, "We will silence the opposition without realizing the firestorm my words would cause. My intention was and is to have the voices in support of equity and education be heard and supported. And I was actually thinking, hopefully, those voices will eventually ring louder and drown out those against equity." So this is what they're talking about behind the scenes, drowning out those against equity. And equity isn't what you may think it means. Again, I won't insult your intelligence, but the shorthand is equity means that no matter what you bring to the table in terms of personal achievement or talent, the outcomes must be equal. That's communism. It's communism. It's not equality where everyone has an opportunity to achieve. Equity is government restrictions and making sure someone doesn't achieve too much. And if they do, they get pushed back. Again, this Minority Student Achievement Advisory Committee chair writes about a call to action and trying to enlist the NAACP, which is also pushing this radicalism, in taking steps against, quote, the false narratives of the opposition. As you are aware, there's a lot of negativity and false narratives being circulated in the community and news regarding equity within Loudoun County Public Schools. I think it's best not engage the opposition, but rather counter them and drown out their hateful rhetoric. Again, drown them out. These are parents they're talking about, objecting to their kids being told they're racist because of the color of their skin. On January 11th, 2021, so just earlier this year, Loudoun County School Board member Atusa Reeser writes the head of the superintendent of the schools, Mr. Ziegler, an email about legislation moving forward in the Virginia legislature that required cultural competency for teachers' licenses. And this is what they write. This is the bill that's going to encompass one of our programs asks. It will be carried by someone outside Loudoun. So again, they don't want their fingerprints on it, and is more comprehensive. I believe it will encompass what we're asking for, and I'm okay with the path forward. And the Ziegler response, this is the superintendent. That looks good. Once the bill's passed, it will be interesting to see how the training and rubrics are built and promulgated around the cultural competency requirement. Now, cultural competency is another phrase the CRT people use to disguise what they're doing. That's where the real work starts. Now, I don't know about you. When they say cultural competency, that's divisive. They see America as being sliced and diced into hundreds, if not thousands, of cultures, and I think most parents want their children to be taught that about America and what binds us as opposed to what divides us. There's some more here that I think is really interesting. So one of the big things is that they try to say that it's not CRT, it's called, as I said, again, they use these fake words, culturally responsive teaching. And this is how they describe culturally responsive teaching. And this is a professional development within the Loudoun County Public Schools. It asks employees to examine their own personal biases and how they might affect student instruction and interactions with the community. Concepts such as white supremacy and systemic racism are discussed during professional development. Loudoun County Public Schools has not adopted critical race theory as a framework for staff to adhere to. How anyone could write that sentence after they write that sentence right after they describe what critical race theory is, and they say they're not teaching it, when in fact they are, requiring teachers to go through it. As I said, dishonesty. They call it culturally responsive instruction, and in fact, they're describing critical race theory. It's one in the same. And it goes on and on and on. Race equity, all sorts of things. And of course, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Because as I said, there are 14,000 school districts, more or less. I know, I'm hoping I'm right on that number, but there's a lot, right? And it shows these documents, they're obsessed with pushing this agenda. And it's not just in Loudoun, Virginia, Loudoun County, Virginia, it's in Massachusetts, it's all over. I mean, we had documents showing they were segregating students by race up in Wellesley, Massachusetts. A teaching program in Rhode Island, a Rhode Island school district we just announced. We got the documents. They talked about you should be focusing on collectivism rather than individualism. If that's not communism, what would be? So Judicial Watch has lawsuits in court, FOIAs. We're on top of it, the CRT agenda. We're on top of it. I mean, our republic is under assault here in Washington, D.C., and which is bad enough. It's at the border, which is bad enough. Overseas, with the collapse of our national security, or any semblance of rational national security with Biden's disastrous and deadly surrender to the terrorists in Afghanistan. But the left, as I was joking the other day to someone in the office, the commies are going to commie. And so they're going to go after our kids, and that's what they're doing in our schools.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all the latest news from Judicial Watch.